on Studio One, the number of male elementary teachers is declining. We'll tell you how some are battling this trend. Also, science actually proves if distractions for free throws have an effect. And Disney skates into town with their classic stories. We'll talk with a skater.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Studio One. I'm Monty Cashel.
And I'm Katie Fletcher. So people every day are uploading, photos, videos, music on the internet.
Especially with social media sites like Facebook and Twitter, they're constantly throwing stuff up there for people to see.
Constantly, and a lot of the time you put it out there and you don't really know who's viewing it. Or maybe sometimes you come upon a photo and you think, wow, I could use that in a project or something like that.
I know, I've done that. At least looked and wondered.
Right, sometimes it's hard to tell though because of copyright laws and everything like that. Well, later we'll meet a man that makes that process a lot easier. He makes it available so people can communicate back and forth to see what their photos are being used for.
All right, excellent. We'll talk to him. Also, teaching was one of the few occupations women were allowed to enter, and now they dominate the field. Find out how some are trying to bring more men back into the classroom.
And most children learn right from wrong. We'll look at how simple morals can be ignored when it comes to research.
But first, here's today's news with Stephanie Shire.
Thanks, Monty and Katie. A judge ruled Thursday that a teen boy suspected in a school shooting will remain in custody. The incident left 3 Ohio students dead and 2 injured. Witnesses say 17-year-old TJ Lane shot 5 people Monday in the cafeteria at Chardon High School. Although Lane is still of minor age, Ohio's Attorney General reports he is likely to be tried as an adult. Friends of Lane say he had a troubled childhood. In the past, both his parents had been charged with domestic violence against each other. His father also served prison time for assaulting a police officer. Passengers of the Allegra, a cruise ship belonging to Costa Cruise, have made it safely to shore. An internal fire caused the ship to lose power, immobilizing and stranding the seacraft for 3 days. The company has been infamously in the news because of an accident earlier this year. The Costa Concordia ran aground off of the coast of Italy last month. 21 people died and another 11 are missing. During the Academy Awards this week, you may have noticed the iconic Kodak Theater was referenced by a different name. This is because the Kodak Company is the latest corporation to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Kodak was established in 1889. The company failed to keep up with the changes in the photography industry. They faced tough competition when switching from film to digital. Its sales have fallen by half since 2005.
Canon and Nikon are a little more established than Kodak, as well as they have more cameras out on the market, so they have a little bit more to choose from. Since I've been here, like I said, we haven't sold any Kodak cameras.
Even though Kodak's moments are over, the company hopes to survive. They say they plan to come back as a smaller company producing printers and no longer having much to do with cameras. A penny saved could be 2.4 cents earned, well, at least according to the U.S. Mint. It costs 2.4 cents to make a penny and 11.2 cents to make each nickel. Because of this, the Obama administration has asked for permission to change the mix of metal that goes into making these coins. Americans have slowly stopped using the penny as they turn away from cash and more toward electronic payments. The U.S. Treasury has been studying new metals since 2010, but has not been able to come up with a cheaper metal that takes the cost of a penny to less than 1 cent. Like nurses and physicians, school teachers are becoming a gendered profession. The number of male teachers is on the decline, and some are trying to reverse the trend.
In
this elementary school, music can be heard down the hallway, but this classroom is unique for other reasons.
I think it's just a nice change for the kids, especially in an elementary school. Most of their teachers are female, so then when they come and have a male teacher, it's something new.
Paul Letvin is a music teacher. He directs the students like a symphony in his classroom every day.
Yep, move your feet.
Over the past years, people like Paul have been hard to find.
That's all. I remember us talking about that in class.
Most men do not even consider teaching when choosing a profession.
So, 20 years ago, we had 20% of our elementary teachers were males. That's now down to 15%. Preschool, they used to be about 5%. That's down to 2% now.
Olson suggests encouraging young adults at an earlier stage would be helpful. The National Education Association says there is no correlation between the gender and learning, But they say male teachers are important to have, especially for kids from a single-parent household.
I think it's good to have both of those aspects, just to have that drive from males pushing them to work harder, and then just also the compassion and caring from females, much like in a family having a mom and dad.
Olson says presenting and practicing the profession in high school could be one way of getting students interested in teaching.
We're trying to, again, encourage them to stay in the field, give them examples of other males that are out there that they can use as role models.
Officials in the education field hope students will continue to have positive male teachers like Paul to look up to in the future. I'm Cecilia Engeseth, reporting for Studio One.
Many school districts are trying to diversify the teachers not only by gender, but by hiring minorities and different people with educational backgrounds. And that's the news for now. Monty and Katie?
Thanks a lot, Stephanie. Well, just like food, right? A nice variety is best.
Right, to get the well-rounded education. All right, now let's go to Kellen Peters with the weather news. He's going to talk to us about some storms that have been across the Great Plains.
Thank you, Monty and Katie. You know, continuing off the subject of variety, taking a look at our weather graphic, there was recent giant storm that moved across the Midwestern part of the United States and even the central part of the United States. And we're going to take a look at 4 specific areas, starting in the central part of the United States, in Kansas, Missouri, and down in Indiana, Illinois, they actually faced 25 tornadoes and actually 13 deaths, so they battled some severe weather. And we're going to talk about this area a little later in the show. You know, but up in the Red River Valley in Grand Forks and Fargo, we were expected over 8 inches of snowfall. However, we didn't see anything. And why was that? Well, a lot of it has to do with the Colorado low system, and they are very hard to predict. And actually, as the system came northward and started moving westward, actually, it ran into a lot of dry air, and with that, it acted like a sponge and soaked up a lot of moisture, so we didn't see a whole lot. However, down in Sioux Falls, they actually had over 1.5 inches of rain, which set a record in South Dakota. Now, for the metropolitan area down in Minneapolis, St. Paul, they actually had a mixture of rain and snow, and with the surface temperatures and the 800 and 700 millibar levels all around the freezing level, that's where they saw their mixture, and they actually got over 3 inches of rain and snow. However, if you are a big fan of winter and snow, you would want to be going to northern Wisconsin right now, or cabin country as I like to call it. Now they're seeing over 12 to 18 inches of snow in Cable, Wisconsin and Woodruff, Wisconsin. So if you're looking for somewhere to go this weekend, you might want to head up to northern Wisconsin to go do some snowmobiling. As for a temperature outlook for the rest of the week, it is very warm right now from Vermont, New Hampshire, all the way down to Florida and even into parts of Texas. However, it's still looking very cool in the Pacific Northwest and areas west of the Rocky Mountains. And seeing any precip in the area, it's been generally the same all years. It's still wet in the Pacific Northwest and in the Great Plains region. They're getting a lot of that moisture coming off the Gulf. However, it's still very dry in the southern parts of the United States. That brings us to our weather question: is what month on average has the most tornadoes? Is it April, May, June, or July? You know, it's interesting, Monty and Katie, to already be talking about tornadoes when we're just into March.
Right, it really is. Thanks, Kellen, for the weather news.
Thank you.
When I heard the news of that terrible tornado down in the southern states already, and then now the weather question, I wonder what month would it be that the most tornadoes are seen? So we'll have to stick around for Kellen's answer. Also, we have some sports highlights have been compiled for us by John Schaefer.
Thanks, Monty and Katie. In any championship game, there's scrutiny a team must endure. In sports, there's always the favorite team, and then there's the underdog. From David versus Goliath to the Giants over the Patriots, underdogs have been successful throughout history. The term underdog comes from the dogfighting culture during the 19th century. In those days, it meant the loser. The winner was the top dog. Today, it's used to denote the team that is not favored in a sporting event. The term may not sound desirable, but many coaches use it to fuel the fire inside their players.
We just kind of stealthed in there, you know. We had a good squad, but it wasn't publicized. So, you know, we felt underappreciated, but we used it. We used it for fuel to become better throughout the season.
Sports psychologists say success in sports is based on the balance between focus and distraction. Underdog teams have a perceived lack of pressure, which can make it easier to focus. It's now time for the Studio One Sports Trivia question. In what city did Wilt Chamberlain set the record for most points in a game? Well, we celebrate the 50th anniversary of that on March 2nd. Now, Monty and Katie, how many points do you think you actually scored that game?
It was a lot.
Yes, it was. We'll get to that with the answer later in the show, all right?
All right, thanks a lot, John. Well, the Lorax is a grumpy yet charming creature created by Dr. Seuss. He fights to protect the environment. We'll preview the animated movie The Lorax, starring the voices of Danny DeVito, Taylor Swift, and Zac Efron.
Also, research is usually taken at face value. We'll look at what happens when researchers abandon their morals and the information we accept could be misleading.
The University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Health Sciences is meeting the challenge of future healthcare workforce shortages. The state's only medical school produces the highest percentage of graduates nationwide who choose family medicine. Advanced degrees are also offered in basic medical sciences like anatomy and health professions like physical therapy. Students learn and train throughout the state.
In that way, we really are North Dakota.
Make your choice the UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences.
At the University of North Dakota School of Engineering and Mines, improving the world is our project.
This could be your next road.
Our research helps heat your home without hurting the environment.
You drink clean water because of my work.
We push technology to improve quality of life.
This field could fuel your car.
Petroleum production can be more efficient.
One day, my ideas will impact you.
I am
an engineer.
Accounting at the University of North Dakota is more than just numbers. It's about maintaining a history of high-quality education and developing leaders in the accounting profession. While numbers stay the same, the UND accounting program continues to evolve. UND hosts one of the country's best accounting programs and now offers a master's degree in accountancy. Accounting at the University of North Dakota. Numbers accelerated.
Studio One is a television show produced by students at the University of North Dakota.
You can be a part of the graphics team, the marketing team, news team, programming team, production team.
Training never ends. You get to produce guests, you get to do the reporting side of it.
It's really worth the experience. You will not regret it.
Help others live to their full potential. Improve clients' mental and physical well-being. Excel in one of the top healthcare careers of the future. Occupational therapy students at the University of North Dakota experience high-quality education in small classes.
Now to come to 45 degrees, even in a normal motion pattern.
Your healthcare career begins at the University of North Dakota.
You're watching Studio One, twice named the best college television show in the nation by the National Association of College Broadcasters.
Whether a student writes a research paper or a scientist studies human behavior, they're putting their morals to work. But what happens when these morals are ignored? Philosophy professor Jack Weinstein is here to discuss the importance of ethics in research and studies. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, first of all, it may seem like a simple question for people at home, but why are ethics necessary during research?
Well, ethics are necessary in everything we do. They're necessary for our interactions with other people, for the way we treat ourselves, for the way we treat the world, for the way we interact with our religion, for the way we think about our governance. Ethics is a central element of our human life, and since research is something that human beings do, ethics is something that we have to do in that realm as well.
Are there some types of research where more ethics are needed than others?
Well, certainly ethics that deals with human subjects is always key, because anything that deals with another human being is an ethical consideration. But we have to understand that there's a huge range of things that we call research that we don't think of as research, right? We think of laboratories and animals and people, but reading literature and reading the Bible, that's a form of research, and trying to figure out how to choose what school to go to or how to care for our kids, that's a form of research. And what happens in a professional situation is that these things become extended, more detailed, more disciplined, and more focused. And so the ethics issues become extended, more detailed, more focused.
Can you give us maybe an example in the past where you even talked about studying with humans in mind, where things have gone astray?
The two key examples that started a concern with ethics and research was the Tuskegee syphilis experiments, where scientists injected, I think it was 80 African American men with syphilis to see what would happen without their consent. You can imagine how problematic that was. And then Joseph Mengele during the Holocaust would experiment with twins and other people in the concentration camps to see how they would react when he cut their eyes out and did all sorts of things. And so in retrospect, people looked at this and said, something's wrong here. And can we enlarge the ethical questions from the most extreme, horrible situations to the more subtle, more everyday situations?
Well, okay, that doesn't seem subtle to me when you're talking about it. So that isn't that long ago in history. What has changed in that time?
Well, a variety of things have changed, including the acknowledgement that all people are worthy of ethical consideration. So obviously in the Holocaust, Jews and homosexuals and people with mental impairments, they weren't considered full human beings. Now we recognize that they are. At the same time, we begin to think of research as something that is worth thinking about in itself, not just the results, but how do you do research and how do you ask the questions?
Okay, and another ethical research experiment, I guess, that I can remember is Dolly the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
And that certainly raised a lot of questions. So was that a violation of ethics to make that cloned animal?
Well, for those in your audience who might not remember, Dolly the sheep was the first cloned animal, and there were a lot of people who were upset. A lot of that depends on what you bring to the question. Different religious traditions will have different responses. So Catholics in particular will be very, very concerned about cloning, just like they're very concerned about stem cell research. Other religious denominations might not be so concerned. So I could tell you what I think, but what's more interesting is how do we set up the questions so that we can look at the insights of not just the scientists and the inquirers, but also the traditions and the texts and the cultural context that we rely on.
And you talk about religion. Religion has guidelines built into it, certainly for the people who follow a particular religion, no matter what it is. When you have scientists with backgrounds, religious backgrounds, is that like a powder keg for an explosion of ethical
People
problems?
often think of science and religion in opposition, but science and religion works together all the time in terms of why a scientist might want to do what he or she does, in terms of the motivation of how to treat other people. But religion is just one area where ethics comes from, and how we investigate religion is also an ethical question. Religious research, for example, I'll take something controversial. People often think of Sodom and Gomorrah as outlawing homosexuality, but the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was not homosexuality, it was lack of hospitality. Most of people don't know that. And so if you look at the scriptures and if you look at the context, if you're doing research into the stories to justify your positions, then you have to treat those texts with respect as well. And that's an ethical question also. How do you teach the texts? How do you teach the background? How do you treat all that stuff with respect?
All right, so there's all this research going on. Science is going on all the time. Is there a police out there, a research ethics police?
Every organization that does research has a structure. A university has what's called an IRB, an internal review board, which looks at ethical issues, especially, again, ethical issues of subject ethics with human subjects. In hospitals, they have ethics boards to deal with questions like euthanasia and other such things. So any advanced institution that coordinates research will have these boards, because there are ethical questions that the individual scientist or the team of scientists deals with, including questions of plagiarism and questions of honesty and questions of motive. But then there are things that a net, so to speak, to help the scientists make decision, or the humanists or the religious believers or whomever, to make decisions that might be too hard for them as individuals to figure out, and to help them deal with conflict of interest, which is a huge problem in research ethics.
Well, Jack, thanks so much for coming on. Just at the end here, you also do this sort of thing on a radio show of your own?
We do. Why? Philosophical Discussions About Everyday Life, which you can get online at whyradioshow.org. We've had Nobel Prize winners. We've had local folks getting people to ask philosophical questions every day. And if your audience wants to meet me and other people from the radio show, we're having a gathering this Sunday, a fundraiser, downtown Grand Forks at Babylon Restaurant. But really, our goal is to bring the community together and take North Dakota and unify it with the entire world. We have listeners from 100 different countries. Sure. And so people from rural North Dakota are talking with people in Pakistan about philosophical issues.
Great. Well, thanks again for coming on our show. Appreciate the conversation.
My pleasure, always.
All right. Well, coming up, it's a 15-foot shot, but distractions can make it seem impossible. Find out how basketball players battle to make free throws. Also, many are familiar with the traditional Disney stories. We'll meet a skater that interprets these classic tales on the ice.
Studio One closed captioning is underwritten in part by Options, your disability information source.
What does cancer look like? What about diabetes, heart disease? Medical laboratory professionals are a vital link in the treatment of disease and maintenance of health. They investigate clues found in the body that will direct patient care. The University of North Dakota's laboratory science programs are some of the most innovative, far-reaching, fully accredited programs in the nation. The UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences can help you become one of the few who see beneath the surface.
It's not the size of the woman in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the woman.
This is a place where innovation abounds, a place where dreams come true, a place where creativity is a way of life, a place that fires our soul. Join us for the North Dakota Spirit Campaign. Together, we will shape the future of UND and North Dakota.
With the help of the creators from the film Despicable Me, the Dr. Seuss tale The Lorax comes to life. The story focuses on the predicament of the environment. The animated adventure follows a journey of a 12-year-old boy. He is searching for the lost truffula tree seed. In Thneedville, everything is made of plastic, but what most villagers don't realize is that trees used to grow everywhere. So like the story says, unless a particular little boy cares a whole lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not.
Grandpa's the only one in the village who has seen a tree because they've all disappeared. Can you imagine not being able to see a tree?
Danny DeVito, Zac Efron, and Taylor Swift lend their vocal talent to the film. Before Dr. Seuss passed away in 1991, he pronounced that The Lorax was his favorite creation. The Lorax is to be released on March 2nd with a PG rating. Now it's time to look at the events happening in your area. Three things typically come to mind when talking about a hockey arena: the ice, the game, and the talent of the players. But recently, fairy tales are gliding across the ice of arenas around the country.
Many talented athletes have skated in this arena. However, what few realize is that not all of the talent involves a puck and a hockey stick.
I'm excited to see the princesses. Goofy. Mickey Mouse.
For some, this may be the first time they've seen these magical characters outside of their television.
The magic in the costumes. Like, I'm so into fashion and costume. Like, ever since I was a little child, I've always wanted to be a part of this.
Viola travels with Disney on Ice, working on costumes to help the performers.
We try to make everything as easy as possible for the skaters because they always have their skates on during the scenes.
The Disney magic is not only made by the creation of the costumes, but also the talent of the skaters. Alexander Dimitriou, a skater from England, started skating when he was just 7 years old. Alexander now plays more than one big role in Disney on Ice.
I play two roles. I play David from Lilo and Stitch, which is Nanny's boyfriend, and Captain Hook in Peter Pan.
It is much different skating in costume than skating in a training outfit.
Sometimes either the costume can be really light or really heavy. So you got to get your balance back, really.
Along with this trade comes challenges. Viola says it's more than costumes and skates.
Because to me, it's not work. It's just like just being here with friends, like just doing what I love to do.
All of this to leave the night flawless and the audience wonderstruck. With photographer Matt Petroviak, this is Avery Hagasag reporting for Studio One.
The Disney on Ice performance can be seen around the world. The set we visited was put together in less than a day. Coming up, a lack of white this winter has cities seeing more green. Find out how warm temperatures have benefited budgets. That story plus news, sports, and weather in the next half hour of Studio One.
Closed captioning for Studio One is underwritten in part by NDAD, helping others to help themselves.
If this tennis ball represents today's environmental challenges and these puppies are the EERC, then tackling those challenges is just another workday. At the EERC, we're improving air, water, and soil quality, developing renewable fuels, cleaner power plants, and discovering new ways to use our natural resources. And just like those puppies, we'll never tire of the pursuit. EERC, putting research into practice.
Help others live to their full potential. Improve clients' mental and physical well-being. Excel in one of the top healthcare careers of the future. Occupational therapy students at the University of North Dakota experience high-quality education in small classes.
It has to come to 45 degrees, even in a normal motion pattern.
Your healthcare career begins at the University of North Dakota.
This is a place where innovation abounds, a place where dreams come true, a place where creativity is a way of life, a place that fires our soul. Join us for the North Dakota Spirit Campaign. Together, we will shape the future of UND and North Dakota.
Your future depends on this moment. Take the path that leads to your future.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Welcome back to Studio One.
Thanks for joining us today. Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that most people would say some fashions should probably never have been fashions, right?
Definitely. Maybe just stay in the back of the closet.
The back of the closet.
Way back.
Well, there's actually a lawmaker that's trying to ban the public wearing of pajamas.
Too bad for
in their
those just
state.
roll out of bed looks, I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. Well, and we thought that was interesting. So we went out and asked people, if you could ban a fashion, what would it be? Those answers are coming up. Also, in the next 30 minutes on Studio One, video game popularity spans generations. We'll tell you the benefits that go beyond simple entertainment.
And many people enjoy a warm winter. We'll meet a man who wishes for cold weather to keep his igloo from melting.
And historically, the pineapple has been seen as a symbol of hospitality. Later, we will meet a man who uses this symbol to create an inviting way for people to share internet content. But first, here's today's news with Stephanie Shire.
Thanks, Monty and Katie. Monkees frontman and 60s teenage heartthrob Davy Jones has died. The 66-year-old suffered a heart attack on Wednesday. His death has prompted many to reminisce on the life of their childhood hero. In 2008, Jones was named the top teen idol of all time. Many fans accredit the Monkees as being the first group they could claim as their own as opposed to that of their parents' generation. Fellow Monkee Mickey Dolenz has spoken out describing Jones as a good friend and brother figure. Millions around the world are saddened as they remember the life of this British star. Russia's election season is fast approaching. 100,000 tulips were given out to every woman and girl passing through a Moscow metro station on Thursday. The flowers were distributed by supporters of Vladimir Putin's presidential bid. The flowers were handed out in celebration of the new political season and the first day of spring. Putin is the current prime minister and former president of Communist Russia. Voters will head to the polls on March 4th. An era in the American education system is coming to an end. So far, 11 states have been given waivers for the No Child Left Behind law. The Education Department says 26 other states are seeking relief from the policy. During No Child Left Behind, schools that were unable to meet standards would lose out on federal funding. The Obama administration is allowing states that promise to improve how they prepare and evaluate students to get a waiver around the law. Schools now plan to test students on what they know instead of their ability to excel. School officials say the biggest changes will take place in the dispersal of federal funds.
Allocation of dollars, taking dollars out of the classroom, if you're not meeting AYP, that is going to change.
AYP, or Annual Yearly Progress, is the method in which schools are measured on their academic performance. Additional states can apply for a waiver in a third application round by September 6th. College tuition and living costs are on the rise, but there is hope when it comes to the cost of college textbooks. The state of Washington launched an electronic library of books for 42 popular community college courses. They are free online and cost no more than $30 in print. Rice University in California also announced it will provide free online textbooks for 5 of the nation's most attended college courses. Officials of the university estimate that this could save students in the U.S. $90 million in the course of the next 5 years. In 2010, each student attending a 4-year college spent an average of nearly $600 on required textbooks. The importance of exercise is stressed among all age groups. Studies show some video games have become a new fitness trend, but now kids may not be the only ones fighting over the controllers. Wii Fit games incorporate strength training, aerobics, and they're fun for the kid in all of us. A study published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine says exergames, or virtual reality enhanced exercise, may provide mental exercise as well.
This is our second season for the Wii Bowling League. So we've been doing it for 2 years. We do it like a regular bowling season.
Some may think Wii games are just for kids, but senior citizens aren't spared from its benefits either.
Exercise and friendship, being with people.
It helps the arm coordination and my balance, and it's fun. Hey, maybe I better already quit. What?
This study found that for older adults, virtual reality exercise 2 to 3 times a week resulted in greater cognitive benefit than just traditional exercise. For those unable to do strenuous workouts, Wii games provide a more gentle form of attaining coordination and muscle strength.
And one thing nice about this is even if you can't stand, you can still do this and still get some motion because you can do it from a chair.
Because it is difficult in a small space for players to replicate the intensity of some real-life sports, virtual reality games may be right up their alley.
Hey!
One case study published on this topic focused on an 89-year-old woman with a balance disorder and a history of falls. Her scores on balance tests significantly improved after 6 sessions of Wii bowling. And that's the news for now. Monty and Katie?
Thanks a lot, Stephanie. You know, it really doesn't matter how old you are, but it's fun to watch people bowl with the Wii.
It definitely is. They really get into it. It's a whole new experience for them.
Yeah.
Let's go to Kellen Peters now with the weather news. He's going to talk about some deadly storms that have damaged areas in the Great Plains.
Thanks, Monty and Katie. You know, with these spring-like temperatures and weather going on, it's been very interesting. As actually last week, numerous tornadoes have occurred in states including Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, and Nebraska. And in the town of Harrisburg, Illinois, they actually battled some devastating tornadoes which leveled a strip mall and other areas. And crews have been working around the clock searching for anyone who's been injured or still trapped under debris. Now, it's interesting taking a look exactly what has happened in this area. Now, there's been over 40 reports of hail in areas around the central United States, and this hail has been fallen over 2 inches in diameter, so almost the size of an egg. Over 167 wind reports throughout the areas also, and over 25 tornadoes have been recorded. In Harveyville, Kansas, actually, the governor of Kansas actually had to issue a state of emergency for that area. Now, tornadoes are classified on the Vegeta scale. Basically, that's a scale between F5 and F0, with F5 being the strongest. And in this area, most of the tornadoes were F1 and F2, so winds up to 157 miles an hour. However, the one that went through Harrisburg, Illinois, that was an F4 that actually damaged that giant mall. So it's interesting what weather phenomena is going on right now. And we've had a very mild winter, and with that, it's actually a good benefit for some communities.
The United States has not seen the snowfall it is used to in a typical year.
It's been fantastic. I mean, we talk to people around here. In fact, you talk to people that have lived in Grand Forks their whole lives, they'll tell you they never remember a winter like this. So as a result, we haven't seen our city crews out plowing streets nearly as much as we do.
And with the break for city crews, many cities have received a break to their budgets as well.
So, obviously they're going to put aside money for sanding streets, plowing streets, overtime, maintenance of vehicles, all those kinds of things. We've probably seen a savings of somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 so far this year.
Metropolitan areas, such as Boston, have saved as much as $15 million. But money isn't the only thing that cities have saved. Street crews now have the time to get started on projects that would otherwise have been saved until spring.
So when we have a mild winter like this, it gives them the luxury of being able to do some of those other things that probably would have had to wait until spring or summer.
This year, the first sign of spring may be the green in the city budgets. With photographer Devin Krinke, I'm Tim Ullman reporting for Studio One.
Now, with these mild temperatures and the lack of snow and ice, that means there's not a lot of potholes going on or that need to be replaced. So that's a good news for communities when it comes to money. With these spring-like temperatures, this brings us back to our weather question. And what month on average has the most tornadoes? Is it April, May, June, or July? With the answer at May. Now, Monty and Katie, we are seeing tornadoes right now, so severe weather could be just around the corner.
Right. Thanks, Kellen, for the weather news.
Yeah, certainly a sign of spring when people start talking about tornadoes.
Oh, for sure. You kind of think of tornadoes as something that would happen in the summer months.
Yeah, but May is the time when it happens the most, I guess, according to Kellen. And let's turn to our sports expert. John Schaefer's here with some news.
Thanks, Monty and Katie. Focus is an important key to victory in games, but distractions from opposing crowds can change the game.
The free throw. This shot appears to be as easy as the name itself. But when distractions come into play, the shot can become more difficult.
Yeah, in practice, that's where it starts. We always try to distract each other when we do pressure free throws in practice that our coach has us do. But in games, he just tells us to relax and calm down and just make the shot.
Aaron is not alone when it comes to trying to block out distractions. A recent NBA study by the Dallas Mavericks shows that the coordinated movement by fans behind a hoop reduces a player's free throw percentage by about 8%. Most teams are well prepared for these type of situations.
In practice, we have everybody shoot free throws, and we have to hit a certain number. And if we don't hit that, then we usually have to run.
Visual commotion may be common, but studies show it should not be as effective as auditory distractions. Light travels faster than audio, but our brain processes the sound 50 times faster than vision. Aaron says that the main key to making the shot is focus.
I usually just focus on the rim. I don't try to focus on what they say because they're going to say a lot of things, but I just focus on trying to make the basket whenever, if I'm at the free throw line or is out on the field.
Whether it's in the March Madness tournament or a pickup game with friends, free throw distractions can play a major role in the shot. I'm Jimmy Geffro, reporting for Studio One.
The sound in a packed arena during a college basketball game has been measured up to 120 decibels. That's about as loud as standing underneath a jet engine. Now the answer to this week's Studio One Sports Trivia question: in what city did Wilt Chamberlain set the record for most points in a game? It's actually C, Hershey, Pennsylvania. He had 100 points. And that's the sports, Monty and Katie.
Thanks so much. Some believe certain styles are so bad they should never be seen. We wanted your thoughts on what style you see on the street that should be banned. Your answers are still to come.
Also, mild winters often let you leave your ice scraper at home. We'll see how one man wants the snow to help him build an igloo in his backyard. That's next.
If this tennis ball represents today's environmental challenges and these puppies are the EERC, then tackling those challenges is just another workday. At the EERC, we're improving air, water, and soil quality, developing renewable fuels, cleaner power plants, and discovering new ways to use our natural resources. And just like those puppies, we'll never tire of the pursuit. EERC, putting research into practice.
Your future depends on this moment. Take the path that leads to your future.
Studio One is a television show produced by students at the University of North Dakota.
You can be a part of the graphics team, the marketing team, news team, programming team, production team.
Training never ends.
You get to produce guests, you get to do the reporting side of it.
It's really worth the experience. You will not regret it.
At the University of North Dakota School of Engineering and Mines, improving the world is our project.
This could be your next road.
Our research helps heat your home without hurting the environment.
You drink clean water because of my work.
We push technology to improve quality of life.
This field could fuel your car.
Petroleum production can be more efficient.
One day, my ideas will impact you.
I am
an engineer.
Shot of our good-looking studio audience. Thanks for coming today. North Dakota is known for many things. Winter is one of them. The people in the north have learned to appreciate things like wind, snow, and temperatures below zero.
Winter up north, a time where snow usually lays on the ground like a white carpet. The brown spots on the ground reveal that something is different.
This winter, I think we only seen 12 inches of snow. Last winter at this time we had 35 inches, close to 40.
It is, however, enough snow for Frosty the Snowman to be a jolly, happy soul. His arms are made of hockey sticks, and he has two little rabbit friends. But just like in the song,
it hasn't been really cold either.
And when Frosty the Snowman said the sun was hot that day, some important ice started to melt away.
Most people don't like the snowstorms, but I kind of enjoy it because then I get to build igloos.
Mike Phillips, a meteorology student who has taken a trait of innate survival technique to his backyard.
We had a nice snowstorm 2 years ago.
The igloo Mike builds is usually a gathering point for friends and family. This year, the warm weather has halted the social gatherings.
We had like at least 8 or 9 people in there, and some people spent the night. But this year, it's with the shortage of cold weather and snow, we've only had like enough room for 2 or 3, so nothing yet this year.
But even though the dream of a huge igloo melted away this winter, Mike appreciates being outdoors.
Enjoy the weather while it's here, because it's even the winters can be fun.
Because winter, warm, cold, white or brown, it's beautiful. It's what you make of it. Doug Amdam reporting for Studio One.
Mike says kids from the neighborhood enjoy playing in his igloo. Last winter, Mike hosted a movie night, and some even spent the night inside his creation. Your favorite PJs may soon need to stay home on trips to the supermarket. A Louisiana politician is trying to ban people who wear pajamas in public. The county commissioner is working on an ordinance that would make it illegal to leave your house in sleepwear. We wanted to get your thoughts on what items of clothing you would like to ban in public.
I see some of the people going to church in pajamas on Sundays, or even in the week, and I don't think it's appropriate.
I don't think any clothing should be banned just because it's a freedom. Like, you have the choice to wear what you want, it expresses who you are, but at the same time, as long as it's not too revealing or too absurd.
I think that people should be able to wear whatever they would like to wear.
I don't think there's anything in particular that I would ban. I mean, other than like maybe wearing like straight underwear in public, but other than that, I don't see any reason why anybody can wear what they want.
Yeah, there's a lot of girls that walk around 3rd Street in miniskirts, practically in bikinis.
The U.S. is a free country, and I think that anyone should be able to wear what they want to wear. It's an expression of who you are, and, we want to be accepting of everyone.
A couple of comments from our Facebook page. Elizabeth from St. Paul writes in, socks with tevas, those are those strap-on sandals. Feathers woven or glued into human hair, banned to those over the age of 9. Mock turtlenecks, miniskirts belong on females between the ages of 3 and 14. Pardoned from that ban, Madonna, Beyonce, and Gaga. And Bart from Fargo says, Crocs. Footwear should not be dishwasher safe. Copyright laws make it hard to know whether you can use certain media on the internet. Next, we'll talk to a man who developed a way to let people know if they can legally use media with just a glance.
Closed captioning for Studio One is underwritten in part by the Listen Center, where meeting friends at Listen is a groovy thing to do and has been since the days of Woodstock.
What does cancer look like? What about diabetes, heart disease? Medical laboratory professionals are a vital link in the treatment of disease and maintenance of health. They investigate clues found in the body that will direct patient care. The University of North Dakota's laboratory science programs are some of the most innovative, far-reaching, fully accredited programs in the nation. The UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences can help you become one of the few who see beneath the surface.
It's not the size of the woman in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the woman.
This is a place where innovation abounds, a place where dreams come true, a place where creativity is a way of life, a place that fires our soul. Join us for the North Dakota Spirit Campaign. Together, we will shape the future of UND and North Dakota.
People upload photos on the internet every day. Your photos could be used for something you know nothing about. Associate Law Professor Eric E. Johnson developed an easy way to allow people to connect with others who want to use their photos. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So before we get to the creation of this project, you have a law background. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I'm a law professor. I'm a lawyer. I was a lawyer first. I was a lawyer in Los Angeles. I worked for a law firm where I did litigation involving intellectual property, which means patents, trademarks, copyrights, things like that, and video game patents, and some work for the movie and television industry. And then after that, I worked in-house at Fox Cable Networks. And then after that, I went into academia and got this fantastic teaching job here at the law school, and doing what I love.
All right, that's great. I mean, this is kind of perfect for the project that you created.
Yeah.
So exactly what is Konomark?
So Konomark is a project that it allows people to connect with people who might want to use their copyrighted works. Let me first tell you what copyright is and what it does. Copyright law causes everything that you create, everything you write down, every picture you take, to be protected by copyright, so that you can sue someone if they use your photo. You don't have to register anything with the government. Immediately, as soon as you snap a picture, it's copyrighted. So what Konomark does is it's a way for you to put a little badge on your Flickr photos or your blog entries that says, you know, if these photos or these videos or this blog text might be useful to you on your blog or making your videos, send me an email. I'm generally willing to share it, and I'm casual about people asking permission to reuse my work.
Right, just kind of an opportunity for people to put their media on the internet and for others to use.
Exactly. I mean, so many of us are putting stuff on the internet. We're
Right.
putting photos on the internet. We're putting all kinds of stuff on the internet. And oftentimes that can be useful to someone else who's they could use your photo to illustrate a blog post they're doing about something. And with the Konomark, you've invited them to ask you permission to reuse it.
So kind of getting to a personal level, what inspired you to create this project?
Well, I research intellectual property law, and I was trying to think, and I'm very interested in citizen media and people creating their own creative work product and distributing it. I was trying to think, what is the simplest thing that we could do that would help people building their own creative productions, whether it's videos or blogs or whatever. And it occurred to me, there's so many people out there who are creating stuff that would be useful to other people, that if there was a way to signal, hey, I will generally give you permission if you ask. If there was a way to communicate that, that could bring a lot of people together so that they could share those things, and people would be able to create with these building blocks of photos or sound effects or music or whatever to enhance their own media productions.
Yeah, just kind of a more comfortable, streamlined process. What were some challenges that you had when developing this project?
Well, I wanted to design some kind of test of the concept. So I wanted to put some pictures up on Flickr and put the Konomark on there and invite people to ask for permission. So I had to take a lot of photographs. So for the past 2-3 years, I've been taking lots of photographs. And actually I brought my camera, so I'm going to take some photographs of the control panels and the lights and the cameras, if you don't mind, afterwards. So I put these on Flickr and invited people, if they want to use it, to email me. And I now am getting 1 or 2 requests a week of people who want to use things. And it's fun. It's fun to find out what people want to use the photographs for. I have people using them on flyers and posters. Someone who wanted a photo to use in a slideshow they were doing for a cousin who's turning 90 or something like that about his life.
Right. So Konomark is kind of, a unique symbol. What is the meaning behind Konomark and the symbol that you use for it?
Sure. Well, I want to create something unique and identifiable. So Kono is Hawaiian for invite. So it's a mark that's inviting people to ask for permission. And the pineapple is an architectural motif that has long meant hospitality. Okay. And so I did the pineapple, I drew the pineapple, and I asked my 2-year-old, what does this look like? And he said, a pineapple. And I figured I had something that looked enough like a pineapple I could run with.
Right, it kind of draws the eye to it. Who is allowed to use the Konomark project?
Anybody. Anyone can put a Konomark on their work, and I'd encourage them to do that if they are generally open to sharing. It's not a commitment. When you put a Konomark on your work, it doesn't say that you are now committed to letting people use things for whatever they want. It just means you'll take it on a case-by-case basis.
Right, and you talked about people that were using your Konomark pictures. What was an example of that? We actually have one. It's a trolley cart picture that was used.
Yeah, one I think you have an example of there is a photograph I took in New Orleans, and this husband and wife team who are restaurant workers in New Orleans, and they have this pet project that's kind of their passion of creating a guidebook for New Orleans that's organized by trolley stop. And I don't know if you can see it there. It says written and ridden by the authors there. And so, you know, they asked if they could use my picture on the cover, and I thought, you know, that's cool. That's just really fun. And I don't care that they're not paying for that. They're, I'm sure, barely making money for, you know, if Paramount Pictures comes and wants to use a photograph of mine in some new Tom Cruise movie, I'd gladly take their money for that. But if it's a small thing, you know, I'm just happy for it to be useful to someone.
Great, thanks so much for coming on the show today to talk about the Konomark project.
Great, thanks for having me.
You're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota. We'll be right back after this.
The University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Health Sciences is meeting the challenge of future healthcare workforce shortages. The state's only medical school produces the highest percentage of graduates nationwide who choose family medicine. Advanced degrees are also offered in basic medical sciences like anatomy and health professions like physical therapy. Students learn and train throughout the state.
In that way, we really are North Dakota.
Make your choice the UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences.
If this tennis ball represents today's environmental challenges and these puppies are the EERC, then tackling those challenges is just another workday. At the EERC, we're improving air, water, and soil quality, developing renewable fuels, cleaner power plants, and discovering new ways to use our natural resources. And just like those puppies, we'll never tire of the pursuit. EERC, putting research into practice.
At the University of North Dakota School of Engineering and Mines, improving the world is our project.
This could be your next road.
Our research helps heat your home without hurting the environment.
You drink clean water because of my work.
We push technology to improve quality of life.
This field could fuel your car.
Petroleum production can be more efficient.
One day, my ideas will impact you.
I am an engineer.
What does cancer look like? What about diabetes, heart disease? Medical laboratory professionals are a vital link in the treatment of disease and maintenance of health. They investigate clues found in the body that will direct patient care. The University of North Dakota's laboratory science programs are some of the most innovative, far-reaching, fully accredited programs in the nation. The UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences can help you become one of the few who see beneath the surface.
Tune in next week on Studio One. We'll meet a woman who brings spring early with her creation of miniature gardens. Plus, we'll have other news and entertainment stories for you.
We're going to leave you now with pictures of monster bucks from an outdoor show. From all of us here at Studio One, have a great week.